front. In the back, it doesn't look like a helicopter, but it was his idea of a helicopter. Also, his idea of a perpetual motion machine. And in the very back, there will be a model representing Mona Lisa, who would be sitting back there waiting for Leonardo to finish playing around with his inventions so that he could finish the portrait of her.
I put a challenge to our 20 volunteers on our float building committee. We always try to do a little bit something different, a little something better year after year. Last year was the first time we actually had a 12-foot walking marshmallow man on the Ghostbuster float, which was really, really neat, and was one of its first kind of actually making it appear like it was walking down Montana Street like it did in the movie Ghostbusters. So we got the committee together and we said, okay guys, how can we top a 12-foot walking marshmallow man? Well, we were kicking around some ideas and we came up with the evolution of flight, which went with the extraordinary inventions. It's like, okay, so how can we make the extraordinary inventions of the evolution of flight top a 12-foot walking marshmallow? Well, we put some pencil to the paper and some imagination, and we came up with 2 flying airplanes and a spaceship. And then it's like, all right, now we got the idea, so how are we going to make this happen? Well, the first thing we did is everybody got on the internet and pulled up some pictures of different airplanes and concepts and ideas of what they thought we should make the float look like. And we came up with a 3-part float, which totals about 122 feet long. Quite amazing. It's almost, what, half a football field. So we get on the internet and we look up some plans and some blueprints of the Kitty Hawk, which is going to lead off this 122-foot float. So we found some excellent blueprints. I think we got off the Smithsonian Institute website about how the Wright brothers actually built this airplane. And we were able to get a scale-size blueprint of every single angle and dimension and piece that was built. So what we did is what we could actually build to fit down the parade route. Come to find out, about half size. So we decided we're going to build a half-size Kitty Hawk. Then we started scratching our head and we're like, okay, now we have an idea. Now how do we start and build this? Of course, they did it out of wood and they had all different kinds of materials. Of course, when we're building floats, you have to think about weight, you have to think about durability, you have to think about easy and cost of putting this together. So a couple committee members and myself, we looked at it and you know what? I think galvanized electrical tubing for conduit, that PVC muslin fabric, which they actually used in 1903 to build this airplane, and small hot rolled round steel. Actually, this airplane right here turns out to be fairly light. It might even be lighter than the actual Wright brothers airplane as we put it together, and it still gives us the opportunity to do some steel structural work to attach it to the tow vehicle, which is actually going to be on hydraulics to make this airplane fly up and down. It led us into the second part, which is the Spirit of St. Louis. Again, how are we going to build this Spirit of St. Louis replica and fit down the parade route? Again, we got back on the internet and found plans of how they built, how Lindbergh built the Spirit of St. Louis, and we got blueprints for it, and come to find out, hey, half size will fit just fine down the parade route. So again, we took that concept, we used the same materials and same idea of the Kitty Hawk, electrical conduit, PVC, a little bit of wood, and you start putting one pipe, put another pipe, all of a sudden you have a frame. And you just go from there and bang, there's the Spirit of St. Louis. It's all done. Take a look at it, you stand back, hey, that's a pretty good job, It took about 4 of us to put it together. You look at what you can create just off of a piece of paper, you're kind of like, hey, maybe I could have built this back in, 1950 when Charles Lindbergh did. Then you start thinking that, well, I don't know if it can actually fly, but it looks good, we all get a laugh at it. And so then we go to the part 3 with the spaceship. That one's a little bit more challenging. Building things out of conduit pipe and PVC you can cut and put it together with couplers and weld it. But the third part, the spaceship, becomes a tricky one. It's actually carved out of styrofoam. You really only get one shot. Once you cut it off, you can't really add it back unless you glue it, but then you gotta sand it again and fill it back into it. It becomes really a big challenge. So you gotta be very precise working with styrofoam. But in the long run, it makes a very nice, professional looking product that'll look like the spaceship. And it's fun. It's just another It's another avenue in which some of our volunteers have talents that never knew they had a talent. Last year, Vince, he's carving out this spaceship, never worked with styrofoam before in his life. Got a little taste of it with Slimer, and a little bit of taste with this Marshmallow Man, and now he's carving out the entire spaceship. So, you know, it's one of those things, you never know what you have in you until you get, you know, put to the test and the challenge, and a little bit of imagination and a little bit of hard work and having fun, and there's nothing anybody can do once you put your mind to it. So it's a lot of fun, you know, and I think going down the parade route and 250,000 people and a television audience of about another 100,000, when they see this, you know, and hopefully with this documentary, they'll get to understand truly what's behind the scenes, you know. A lot of people think we can do this in a weekend, but you know, this committee's been working at it for about 3.5 months. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort behind the scenes. But you know what, the end product and all the smiles and the memories that these little kids will have, you know, when they're telling their grandchildren and great-grandchildren, hey, I remember this evolution of flight one time, these airplanes, they were so lifelike, it was cool. And you know, their grandchildren get excited and something, and they'll pass down to their children, and it goes on for generations. That, you know, that's what this is all about. And we're so happy that FirstLight was able to make it, you know, keep this tradition alive by taking over the sponsorship when we were in time of need of keeping this thing going. And the volunteers that put all their hard work and their blood, sweat, and tears truly behind here to make this happen. And kids, you're gonna love it. Stay tuned.
The thing that drives us is just to have basically a blank palette and then see the finished product and know that a group of us put that thing together and made it what it is, whether it's Vince doing the styrofoam, my wife Kim doing the decorating, the Joe designing. It's just, we all come together, we all work as a great team. It's like a big family, you know. And like with any family, there are sibling rivalries, so it's to see what we can do. And then another thing is, we want to take it to the next step. We went one step last year, now we want to take it another step higher. So we try to do that every year, is try to make it something that's enjoyable. You know, there's a lot of work involved in it, but when you see the kids smile, you know, as they're pointing and looking and going, oh, look, Mom, that makes it all worthwhile. Couldn't ask for a better bunch of people to volunteer with. It's just the Sun Bowl Association's like one big happy family. Pat with FirstLight, you know, we'll all, you know, she needs some help. Everybody's here to help everybody.
The best thing about this, first of all, you can make mistakes and it's no biggie deal. There's a way to fix them. So it's a very non-stress. But the best part is when you go the day of the parade and the streets are empty and you have all these floats and they just fill up and the people, you just hear them ooh and ah as you, I have the opportunity to go down the parade route with the unit that my dad used to do. So I hear a lot of the crowd and the ooh and the ah and the tradition of the family in El Paso. And when you volunteer, you make new friends. You get out of your environment. You do stuff you'd never think you would do before, you know.
My very first year, I couldn't wait to get my hands on the staple gun. I just kept eyeing it. I just kept on wanting to grab it and use it. And finally, when I was able to, I just went staple crazy. I went everywhere with it, and it was so much fun. It's very important to get involved because once the adults can no longer do it, because even then now they're having a hard time lifting things, we should be there to help them lift, or we should be there to help them crawl under the floats. We're there to help them whenever they need us. And with more people coming out, we need more youth, because once they're all gone, there's nobody to pass it down to. And that's what we need the most, our teenagers.
Well, without FirstLight being our sponsor here, we wouldn't have a parade float. So first of all, I would like to thank FirstLight for sponsoring our parade so all of El Paso can see it, and them coming out here and volunteering. It's wonderful. We've seen new, different volunteers, repeat volunteers every year, every day, and it's a wonderful thing. Without them sponsoring our parade, the city of El Paso would not have this wonderful parade on the morning of Thanksgiving to come down and share with their family and friends.
If the parade was status quo or remaining the same or just something that happens every year would be one thing. But I think if you ask anybody, and not just the Sun Bowl Association or FirstLight or the people that build the floats, I think they'll tell you that the parade is getting better and better and better. And a lot of that goes, with our chairman, our special events director Joe Dabach, our chairman Jim Lawrence, and all of us. We want to make it better and better and better. And I think that's important. I think if the parade was just stagnant, then it might not be so important. But because it's getting better, it's something that the city can be proud of, and I think it's something that all the citizens can brag about to everybody. Not every big city has parades, and not every big city has a Thanksgiving Day parade. So I think it's important for us to continue this for the benefit of our city and our citizens. There's always challenges, and they always get together and they huddle and say, how are we going to do this? There's always figure out a way to do it. There's a challenge in getting enough bands and a lot of participants, mainly because of the cost to some of these people to come in. But at the end of the day, every parade we get between 80 and 110 units, and that is a large parade. And I think the challenges that we get at the beginning are worth it at the end. And I don't think we've ever had a challenge that we haven't been able to meet or rectify. So yeah, there's challenges, but there's nothing that can't be worked out. Ever since we got FirstLight as a title sponsor, I think they have put in as much work into this parade as the Sun Bowl Association has. And I said before, it's a great marriage. And this parade has gotten better and better and better thanks to the support that we get as a Sun Bowl Association that we get from FirstLight Federal Credit Union.
Well, I think that teamwork is very important. I think that it's an opportunity for a lot of people or a group of people to come together to accomplish a task or a goal. It really brings people together to really stand out and do something great. Of course, with the help of the Sun Bowl and other volunteers, this is all part of a teamwork effort to just show up on Thanksgiving Day and have this great event to be featured in El Paso for the El Paso Las Cruces community.
And I think that the more people that participate in this, the more they take ownership of it. And hey, this is our parade, this is our flag. And rather than just going out to see it and sit there and, hey, it's a great parade, when people participate and they do something, they kind of take a little ownership, they take a little bit more pride in that parade itself. And I think that again makes the parade better and better every year. So it's important for the community to go out there, and we have tremendous volunteers, a lot of volunteers, 400 to 600 volunteers to come out and help us put this together. And that's a big task. And I think anybody who volunteers and gives up some time, whether it's 2 hours or 200 hours, I think that they take ownership of it and they want to make sure that this parade is great.
And then the volunteers, like I said, they're all from either employees or spouses or friends or even our members that come out and help. And it actually, after the float has begun and ended, is usually about over 500 hours total that we use for each year that we've built the float.
Everybody working together is the importance, and our key volunteers are, just those main people that you can always go to, and they're always here to lend a helping hand, and they're always just there for you, and I think that's very important to have those people here.
To be a volunteer, and you say, well, I don't have the skills enough to be that volunteer to help them, but they'll teach you, you'll learn, you'll grow. But when you see this float go down, or any float that you work on, when you see it go down the strip and you see people cheering it on, and you're looking at what the volunteers at the Sun Bowl parade did, it's accomplishable. You can do it. Anyone can do it.
One thing my dad said years ago was, when you leave this earth, the only thing you've left is what you've taught somebody. And so if somebody wants to learn something that doesn't know how to do it, it is self-gratifying to do it.
Community service hours. I think it's good for kids to have to earn it, because then that teaches them down the road to do volunteer work.
We come together to make this amazing event for the kids, not just for us. We don't come here just to do it for fun. we do it because we want to see those children happy on Thanksgiving Day.
The importance of future generations getting involved with the volunteering and the building of the floats, I think, is very important because we have age ranges, you know, from your upper 70s down all the way to, I think they want to say 8 years old. My daughter comes out plenty of times, and, you know, she's 11 years old, so if we've been doing this for 7 years, you do the math. She's been out here for a while, and I mean, they learn how to screw things, they can drill. I mean, she sawed and stuff. We've been around her with this welding, and so she's not an average girly girl. And a lot of them, we have, you know, wonderful teenagers that come out and they're out here, they do their athletics at school, they do their schoolwork, and then they still come out here and spend hours volunteering. And it's a big help. You know, they may not always be the most, you know, laborious job out here that we have, but without them being able to staple things or screw or go to hand us things and stuff, we couldn't do that. So without those volunteers of the youth coming in and learning this, you know, down future years, 10, 15 years, we need those youth to come out and continue this that we've taught them as parents or as elders and everything. So it's a wonderful thing to see all the different generations. You learn the old school, the new school, you see how somebody, you know, has a little more creative mind, and then you blend it in with the different generations, and I think it's a very important thing for our youth to learn as well as the older generations.
I mean, when you work this many hours, 2,000 volunteer hours for 3 months, you spend a lot of time with these people, and you get to know their family, you get to know things about their lives, they get to know about you, and it's so much more than just showing up and building. It's something we look forward to. We eat dinner together, we eat lunch together. I mean, most of the time we spend more time with each other over these 3 months than we do with our own family sometimes if they don't get to come out here and volunteer with us all. So, you know, it's more than a project. It's a family cohesion that you just can't replace. It's special.
Thanksgiving's a great time for us all to think about the things that we're thankful for, including our families. With all the turmoil in the world and everything else, it's important for us to be here together as a community and come together as a community and family.
From the bottom of my heart, I'd like